kick off. First ban is Camille, going to take that one away. And of course, our customary Cassiopeia ban from Team Liquid.
Cassiopeia, probably Illusion going to end up in that ban category as well. The Aurelia is an interesting one because it's kind of picked, not so much banned anymore, but throwing that towards Impact, potentially Jensen, is also something that you can kind of block her here. But I'm really excited for this match in particular. That bottom lane, we seriously have a two-time champion in Bang up against a world champion in CoreJJ, and these two guys had played against each other, won championships in the World Finals off of each other. They had to play on the biggest stage that League of Legends has known to man, and now they play in the LCS in the regular season to see who can get this momentum at the start.
And you can see respect there. Actually, Lucian banned by Liquid, so not going to give Bang the opportunity to first pick that one. And Aatrox also banned away by 100 Thieves, another very strong, flexible champion we've seen in 3 different roles. That top side really can be flush with lots of different flexes, as we'll see what Liquid line up for their final ban here in Phase 1.
And I'm very interested because Urgot, Aatrox, the Cassiopeia, those things just jumping up is you might first pick them, right? With 2 of them banned away, 1 of them left open. Things like Ezreal actually jump up in priority if you're thinking the bottom lane is a focus here.
You see Alstar also banned away from Aphro, so Liquid certainly targeting out the dual lane there on 100 Thieves. Akali, though, also left up, so kind of a tough first pick here for 100 Thieves to make.
Yeah, the Urgot is flexible. It can go both mid and top, so it's kind of the go-to pick, even though it did receive a nerf to the Purge. And the Akali jumps out, as well as the Ezreal, as big picks here to pick up early in the draft.
Have to wonder if 100 Thieves think that maybe they won't take it. They will pick up Akali, but Impact, not a player you really associate with a champion like Akali. And Jensen has surprisingly few Akali games in his repertoire, despite how strong that champion has been. So certainly a power pick, a strong pick, the most highest presence champion in mid lane on the patch. But it looks like Sion going to be locked in alongside it, so that basically confirms that Jensen will be taking it away as Team Liquid do make their first 2 selections.
Boy, we get a Jensen Akali here. He played Lissandra and Cassiopeia so far, so now we're going to have him on an Assassin. And see, this champion comes down to mechanical prowess, how much you can actually push your advantage or even just survive the laning phase. And Akali is particularly strong on this patch because of overheal getting changed, where now you take fleet footwork, overheal, and you constantly heal with your Q, so you get through the laning phase pretty much unscathed. So it's a little bit of an overlooked change to a rune that actually benefits her immensely.
I've heard it likened to Kassadin actually by Xayah, kind of the idea that as long as you get through the lane and get your ultimate, things generally go well from there, as Thieves do select Braum. We're going to take another strong lane dominant support into their 2v2.
And I wonder what CoreJJ will take here because Rakan got nerfed, Alistar is banned away, and Braum is also taken now too. So things along the lines of the Thresh, the Morgana jump up. The Thresh is the one that really jumps out to me in particular. I wonder.
Also Viktor picked up here by 100 Thieves, continuing their flexibility. Mages bot have not been very popular in LCS, but around the world they certainly have been. If you dip over to the LCK, there have been a ton of mage picks bottom lane. So perhaps Bang kind of bringing something over here. We'll have to see as the draft continues, but Xmithie continues his monopoly on Lee Sin, a 3rd game in a row.
Yeah, 3 for 3 for Jake on the Lee Sin here. Xmithie, this is a champion that I thought back in 2013 was the one that he was always going to, 2014, etc. And now it's coming back after a few years for him where he was mostly playing Gragas, tanks, and etc. But now seeing him on this aggressive pick that can actually have some teamfight prowess too, where you can kick in a Viktor and change the whole landscape of the fight. I love seeing all these playmakers because Xmithie's always the guy who is, I guess, best supporting actor on most of his teams, and now he gets a little bit more of a spotlight on this champion.
Well, continuing the jungle idea, there is Gragas banned by Team Liquid, so trying to restrict some of Anders' possible picks with Lee Sin taken 3rd there for Liquid. We'll see what the Thieves respond with though. Bottom lane again has been a focus kind of in the draft. There is Tom Kench taken away from CoreJJ.
And the AD carry pool is very, very thin. If you think about the AD carries that get played, pretty much Lucian, Ezreal, Kai'Sa, some Draven, not so much Xayah and Rakan anymore either because of the Rakan nerfs. So there's really kind of 3-4 champions that people have been gravitating towards recently. And the Ezreal and Draven, I think they'd be willing to actually trade those here.
And that is for marksman again. There are mages that are played, but we haven't seen that really at all in the LCS. As Xin Zhao, another jungler, going to get picked off here by Team Liquid. See where the Thieves go. I imagine another bot-centric ban is coming, but hard to say if it's going to be a marksman like that Ezreal you mentioned, or if it's just going to be another support taken away from CoreJJ.
If they ban the Thresh, okay, the Kai'Sa, interesting. Because I think Ezreal is really one of the ones that jump up, but I think they're saying if you pick Ezreal, we pick Draven. If you pick Draven, then we pick something else. I'm into it, and wow, what?
So Team Liquid say, okay, we won't pick either. We'll counterpick our marksman here, give Rakan back over to CoreJJ, despite the changes on 9.2 that many thought almost destroyed the champion.
Yeah, this basically, I thought, put Rakan in the ground. People were saying, like, his initiation, like, my grandma initiates faster than he does. Apparently, it's really slow. And people were just ditching the champion. But CoreJJ's saying, yo, I have a skin for this off the World Championship, and that is another great pick.
This is something we thought might pop up. I think Xayah somewhere backstage celebrating as Yorick is locked in for 100 Thieves. Kind of a pick that went unnoticed as far as power-ups went on 9.2, but did receive some changes and has, I've heard whisperings of this champion being very strong. I guess we'll find out in just a few short moments.
Yeah, played him a whole bunch when he got reworked and then dropped him for a bit personally. And then when he started kind of emerging again, people were maxing the W second so it has more HP on it instead of the E. And now with the changes to the Maiden of the Mist, it makes it so that you can kind of control where it's going. If it's going to split push, if it can come with you, which was a big change because a lot of Yorick's powers, when he has that ultimate on, allowing it to follow you down lanes, follow you through the river, is really beneficial for him on invades and being able to take control of the jungle and push his split push even further.
Well, there is the last pick for Liquid, and it is the somewhat predictable Xayah locked in to pair with the Rakan. Would like to point out that Bang has chosen to take Viktor against DoubleLift, which is always fun for everyone playing their international games at home. But again, this is something that we haven't seen in the LCS. Bang willing to play something a little different here in their 2v2. And certainly a match that we'll have our eyes on. We were going to anyway. Now some added spice, both in the bot side and the top side with 100 Thieves, bringing out the Yorick pick.
I really like this, just kind of a change, a departure from what was being practiced before. And both the Rakan and the Yorick are surprises to me. And Ssumday on this champion, we knew him last split as the guy who was just going to take a top lane advantage that nobody gave to him. He made by himself and then take over the game. You didn't have to give him resources. And now on a split pusher, I'm ready to see what he does to try and take over this game.
Well, 100 Thieves, certainly a rough start and a tough schedule to kick off their first week. Liquid breezed by their first 2 games here, still undefeated as they move into this game. 100 Thieves, of course, would love to snag a win to kind of right the ship on their season, although, again, it is early. And what a better way to do that than to take down Team Liquid.
Can't think of an absolutely better way at all. The team that's on the rise, the back-to-back defending champions, and the 2-0 start for them. That's how you get your momentum back.
Well, haven't put really a foot wrong so far. We'll have to see what happens here as the game will unfold. Liquid versus 100 Thieves. And again, so much to look at here in this game. Bang and Aphro versus DoubleLift and CoreJJ. CoreJJ sticking with Rakan despite the nerfs. Yorick in the top lane for Ssumday. And with that, we are going to get a little bit of extra info. We'll throw it down to Overly, who had a chat with 100 Thieves probably.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Especially around the bot lane, Bang versus DoubleLift. How's it going to play out?
Oh, I think they're very surprised with this matchup, and I'm pretty excited to see how DoubleLift reacts to Bang's new picks.
Because he's playing the Viktor in bot lane right now. What do you think is going to give him the advantage?
He's just a better player. That's his advantage.
Oh, now you sound incredibly confident, but is your team as confident as you coming into this game?
Oh yeah, this is one of our very random drafts that happen to work really well, so I'm really happy that we were actually able to pull it out this weekend stage. I thought we weren't, so yeah, I want to see how Team Liquid deals with it.
All right, well, we're excited to see how that goes. Probably thank you and good luck, and back to you.
Always nice to hear from Prolly, just the better player. I guess we'll see how that works out in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
It is an advantage, I'll tell you that much.
That's true. If you are a better player than your opponent, that is a distinct advantage.
But right here, the Bang actually pulling out Viktor, I wonder if it's another mental thing too. I mean, DoubleLift, I'm sure he sees Viktor in his dreams after back in
Maybe his nightmares.
Yeah, not the fondest of dreams, but I like the area here as well for Bang instead of the Kleptomancy, because this is more lane dominant. This is taking a pick that can already bully and make it go even further here. In the bottom lane with Aphromoo backing him up. It's not really a great synergistic pick here for the Braum, but they do have the stun for later in the game. And if you can stun somebody on top of the Viktor gravity well, you can pull off some really great combinations and just keep them there where you constantly proccing your R, etc. And tons of damage will come out.
Yeah, again, just wanting to make sure that when they find spots to be aggressive, they can get in there. Level 2 nice and early here for Bang and Aphro, but CoreJJ and DoubleLift will play with the necessary respect.
And Xmithie actually went real fast on Scuttle Crab duty. He went red straight to the Scuttle Crab. Usually you do the red and then you end up doing another camp before it can spawn. So Xmithie didn't get a leash at all. So he ended up having time going straight to it, being right on timer for it, and getting that top Scuttle Crab that Anda had gone red Raptors and then to the top Scuttle. So he was a little bit late to the party there.
Yeah, again, we'll see if Xmithie just wants to cover for this top side, because hard to say how many games they have against Yorick in practice. So far, though, Impact just getting the lane pushed up, looking good.
Yeah, and another thing here is he has Conqueror. A lot of people were taking Grasp. People realized Conqueror against tanks is fantastic. It's so much flat AD to begin with, and then the extra damage on top of it. And remember, Conqueror increases all of the damage you're going to deal to the person as true damage. So I believe it also increases the damage that his ghouls do, as well as his maiden.
See how that matchup sort of plays out as Anda does pop a plant just to get some vision here on the right-hand side of the map. There is a crab up for the taking, but Xmithie now going to be in the area. Actually looking mid for Anda as crab is tagged by Lee Sin. So Anda's just going to back away with mid and bot lane pushing. Xmithie certainly has free reign on this side of the map as well. Nice knock up there from Impact. Does do some poke damage there to Ssumday, but this is kind of where I expect the matchup to look. Yorick continually pushing in the top lane.
And something else to consider is Sion loves killing the ghouls because he actually gets his passive and extra HP from it. So if you're ever up against a Sion, don't let him kill your ghouls, one, and also don't buy a Zerot portal versus him because he just farms HP off of it. It's a little ridiculous how quickly he ends up ramping up because of those two things.
You can see Impact just clearing out the rest of those minions. Ssumday did pop down to get a bit of vision. So we take another squiz here in the bot lane. Looks like Bang and Aphro just kind of biding their time. Again, we have seen a lot of Viktor kind of globally. Generally, it feels like Viktor splits a lot of matchups. And then, of course, with farm, we've seen how effective he can be in the mid game especially. So maybe don't expect too many fireworks, although DoubleLift is up 10 CS.
Yeah.
Kind of surprising in the 2v2.
I think a decent amount of it is the support as well, because the Braum does almost nothing for the Viktor, and it's basically the Viktor trying to 1v2, and then the poke from CoreJJ can come out, especially since he has that Spell Thief's Edge too, and he can shield DoubleLift if they go for trades. So Bang is playing this really reserved. And also, you have to keep in mind the jungle matchup too. Lee Sin is a better duelist skirmisher than the Sejuani. So if you get into a 3-on-3, you're probably going to lose it. It's something where if you have a winning jungle and a winning lane, it just makes the other team, even if they have a neutral lane, play more defensive.
And you can see so far Liquid pushing all 3 lanes and to finally get some breathing room and moves his vision into this left side of CL's jungle, but maybe look for him to hit 6 and then impact a lane with that ultimate. Because right now on their own, not too much here for 100 Thieves. Nice knock up there though from CoreJJ. Just get some poke back down onto Aphro.
And I'm wondering what Anda's going to try to do here, because he's warding for Ssumday, who's supposed to be their split pusher later in the game and supposed to have that Conqueror dominate in the tank matchup. So he's warding for him so he knows when he can push. But the bottom side has an Infernal Drake, and it has this matchup where you have a Viktor who I think is now just going to try to play for scaling, because once you get your full upgrade and you can press R on some squishies, you can burst really quickly. Hold on. Oh, Root!
Really nice there. Knockup is going to follow Ignite down, I think. DoubleLift, though, is going to get exhausted. They're trying to
so
the
close!
passive. They grab the stun, and that first blood for DoubleLift only barely.
DoubleLift says, the LCS is my kingdom, the game is my castle, and the lane is my throne room. When you enter the lane, you have to be ready to kneel to the king.
Well, BF Sword back as well as they head back together. TP back down to bot lane for Bang as he's going to try and recoup some of that farm. Knock up again there for Impact, but trapped in the cage for a little while. Yorick building up the wave quite nicely as well. As we'll have a look at this one again.
The feathers placed down there are so many. Goes up for the CS, the E pull in. Doesn't matter if the Rakan was nerfed. The knockup still happens, and DoubleLift, even while exhausted, the heal speed up gets him out of the gravity well, so he's not stunned at all. And they get the flash out, but Bang doesn't use his own, and he'll TP back to lane to try and even the CS.
Yep. Nice pressure though from Anda. Actually forced Jensen to burn flash and ulti after he TP'd back to lane. Looks like Huhi spellbook swapped over to Ignite. just to try and secure that kill, but didn't quite have enough to get it done. Jensen, though, is going to stay. Remember, that fleet footwork and the maximized energy on the Q can give Jensen a surprising amount of healing.
And he has a Bilgewater Cutlass already, too. So it's all about sustaining in the lane phase. Akali is not supposed to kill you in the early levels. Once she hits 6, you're able to kind of take some skirmishes, but you really do need the 2-on-2s. If people die to the Akali in lane, I gotta say, it's very unexpected. So going with the build path that doesn't have AP but has the AD early for the Gunblade, I feel like that's the way to go. Just sustain, survive, and make it so that you can outscale.
And you can see Jensen basically back to full, able to stay in the lane and keep his farm numbers nice and healthy. Up a wave or so, 1v1 versus Huhi. Certainly have to see 100 Thieves play a bit more carefully in their exchanges, because last one was won by Team Liquid, and level 6 is approaching. Also, that Ignite cooling down pretty quickly here for Core. Only a minute left for it to be back, so it looks like 100 Thieves will play with the necessary respect.
Yeah, about a 180-second cooldown for the Ignite. The damage was lowered, but it's still lowered in cooldown, so it shares the same cooldown with Ghost now at just 3 minutes. So having that back up when you know they can't flash away if they've used it is big, but both the bottom laners of 100 Thieves did not use their Summoner spell in terms of mobility.
And you can see that early kill, giving TL some of that gold here. Ssumday, though, with the ulti up, is going to try and force Impact away. On the bot side, though, Xmithie has started this Infernal Drake, and thanks to all the pressure that TL have been able to get in every single lane, this is a very simple solo for Xmithie as he grabs his team that early Drake.
Yeah, because you're able to keep the Akali in the mid lane. He just keeps wave clearing and sustaining. You don't lose pressure there. And, oh, yeah.
I believe that's a favorite of yours, Zirene.
I was telling you about this in the office
were.
yesterday. I was like, I played against a Yorick and he E'd me, and the ghouls just sounded like they were spazzing out. I didn't know if it was going to happen on broadcast or not.
Now we know.
Yeah, let's never go back up there again. If something happens, we'll see you later.
Muted replays only, as Impact is going to slap this down. Again, the Maiden doing some work, but will fall here. As so far, it doesn't seem like Ssumday has too much of a foothold here, but again, working towards that Trinity Force with the Phage and the Sheen. Phage done and Sheen coming up. I imagine it only gets better as Yorick is able to scale up, assuming the farm numbers stay about even.
Yeah, he's a little bit behind, but no, Xmithie actually, because they don't even have like full vision of Sejuani there either. It's just because they saw Huhi leave lane, Xmithie's not going to risk it. He's going to back up. He's got the Scuttle Crab for the taking, and that's just something that he's willing to concede is, hey, I can't push my advantage that far.
Also happy to retake this right side Crab. Does have his Warrior also finished, and is still looking to complete his jungle enchantment.
And the fact that he went for challenging Smite here on the Sejuani means he's just trying to be able to keep up with the Lee Sin if they ever get in a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-2. So it will make him tankier later, but it does diminish his ganking power in the early levels. Granted, Sejuani doesn't need much more when she's throwing the bola from half the screen away.
Only 500 gold up for Team Liquid, but that Infernal Drake, of course, adds to their lead that is not reflected in the gold. Does feel like 100 Thieves, though, are sort of letting Team Liquid dictate these first 10 minutes to them. The lanes have been pretty consistently pushed up to the turrets. Plates have not been taken off just yet, but of course there's opportunity there as Liquid continue to play up and aggressive. So I'm not saying 100 Thieves have to do something right now, but I am looking for them to kind of make a mid-game move, likely using Ander and his ultimate to affect one of these lanes.
Because if you're thinking about the scaling in this game, and if the game is even early who it favors, well, TL, they have a really great scaling tank top laner, they have a really great scaling mid laner, and then the bottom lane, Xayah can have some fantastic fights once she gets that critical strike chance, and she's very hard to catch. And you look at the other side, Bang is kind of the big damage source that will scale up, and then you're looking at a split pusher potentially. The Urgot can give some like finishing touches to a kill, but not too much.
Well, flash ult there from Impact to get away as Xmithie also made his presence known in the bot lane. Nice ult though, actually stopwatch pop by Impact. He's trapped in the cage, so Ghouls gonna jump all over him, and Impact should finally fall. He's gonna try and take a few more farm, but Ander secures the kill.
And on the bottom,
there's the recombo. Xmithie gonna flash kick in. Q's gonna miss on the Bang with the Ignite. More than enough to claim that kill. Afro also low, but will not fall as CoreJJ barely gets away with a few slivers of health.
Oh, Aphromoo. He's stuck. They're gonna pull the minion wave. DoubleLift is gonna try to clear it out. Aphromoo gonna try to back here. If DoubleLift walks up, it can get a pass through on him. Xmithie's actually gonna, oh, he's gonna throw Q. There it is.
Does hit it again, waiting for the wave, flies into it, Unbreakable up, but it's not enough.
Oh!
Xmithie finds a stopwatch for a clean dive.
Oh, and he's out! Wow, that was just barely by the skin of his teeth. That stopwatch saves him. And the clean dive on the bottom side to counteract what happened on the top side to Impact, but that's going to be the Rift Herald being picked up by Endo. While they saw 3 people bottom lane, it's a better use of your time to just stay on that top side and get an objective there.
Yep, was time for 100 Thieves to do something, and Ssumday made it happen there with a bit of help from his jungler. Run of power continuing on the bot side of the map for TL. As things split up, we'll see exactly where the teams look to focus. I imagine 100 Thieves need to invest in Ssumday to try and get this split push going, so I do expect the map to stay split for at least the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's something that you want to have happen here too, kind of if you're both teams, because Team Liquid, they want to push that advantage they have bottom, whereas 100 Thieves, they want to be able to push through the top lane with this Yorick. This right here, CoreJJ, it doesn't matter what Rakan's engage speed is. He flashes into the face of Bang with the charm on. So it's the R flash W right on top of him, so he's charmed and then he's going to get knocked up. And Bang has had flash this whole time, but he hasn't been able to use it due to the reactions that have been coming out, or I guess the lack of options that he's had because of the covering of them.
And you can see for DoubleLift that's translated into 20 CS ahead, and a finished Stormrazor with actually that Zeal coming up pretty quickly as well. There is 2 evolutions already there for Viktor, but hasn't quite got the perfect Hex core yet. We've already seen that just in the 2v2 alone, without much of a lead, DoubleLift seems like he's got the better end of most of these trades.
Yeah, and a lot of that is the fact that the support, the Braum, does not do a whole lot to benefit the Viktor. If it was like a double mage bottom lane, maybe, but then you have to worry about the engages. There's so much here that they had to consider during the draft, but they had taken the Braum Viktor in their 2-3 picks before they had even seen a support or an AD from the side of Team Liquid.
Cute there from Jensen, getting a little frisky under the turret to take down a plate, but does shroud and flip away to safety. Ssumday also has finished his Trinity Force, as the Rift Herald will be summoned here in top lane, so can clearly see where the focus is for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and I love this timing too, because this is going to give so much gold over because the plates are still active, and it was right before 14 minutes.
Nicely timed there for the Thieves, as first turret will go over. Xmithie, though, able to claim the Cloud Drake for Team Liquid, make it their second objective of that nature.
Yeah, that's literally the best timed Rift Herald that you could have at that moment, because it gets the plates, you know that Xmithie is on cooldown getting that Drake, and now the bottom lane knows he's here too, and they're going to back up.
Didn't like the first part. The sequel doesn't look much better here for 100 Thieves, as Team Liquid looking to trade turrets, as Impact continuing to keep waves away as best he can. Ssumday is level 11 and does have the Maiden back up and ready to go. He's going to move back towards the wave for now, as Impact does look to recall.
Xmithie's still going to bully that bottom side. They're going to see it on a ward, and with the Demolish, take this down, because they don't have a jungler here. And they don't really have a way to defend this either.
The map continues to stay split. DoubleLift will collect the majority of that gold as he sticks around to try and deny maybe a minion or 2. But they'll pair up for that recall. Oh, never mind. DoubleLift sees some farm. He does want the wave, so we'll move back in to take it. It's hard to resist a full wave, especially when your jungler's there and you know where the enemy jungler is. But so we do have a pause. I'll let you know as soon as we have more information exactly what's going on. But it has been a pretty subdued first 15 minutes. And I think when we talk about how good Team Liquid are, how strong, how dominant, how many across the board, how many, S+ class players they have, I think you do expect their games to be a bit more dramatic. But Liquid's strength is actually just how consistently well they play in those first, 15, 20, 25 minutes, and then how efficiently they close the game once they have a lead.
Yeah, and in professional play, lowering the variance in the games, if you are just better players or you think you are, going to be able to dominate across the board, keeping it controlled and making sure that those variables don't pop off, you're able to win most of your games, right? It's something where you don't want to leave it up to chance. So if you just scale a little bit better, find the engages when you have flash up, make sure that you can cover the options like we've seen CoreJJ doing, and really just kind of choking your opponent out of the game in terms of what they can do. Because you don't want to just say, I'm better than you mechanically, 1v1 back and forth. It's going to add more gold to the game. Things will get out of hand. And if you have a top laner that's been going back and forth on kills, your bottom lane is way behind compared to the rest of the game. So you don't want the game to kind of get into this, I would say, like Fiesta area, right?
Depends. Some teams like that area. I personally, as a player, enjoy it from time to time in my solo queue games, but very different environment, most certainly. I have to echo the credit you're giving CoreJJ, though, for the newest player joining this team. I mean, yes, Jensen's also a new player, but he's been in the league for quite a while. For a new LCS player to come over and just have so much control and agency on what's happening in the game, and for Liquid to look kind of as similarly strong as they were already early on in this split, just speaks to, again, the same praise that DoubleLift gave him, how intelligent of a player he is.
How creative he is as well, because being intelligent is very different than being creative when it comes to League of Legends. You can know everything about the game, but being able to know what your opponent is going to think, and then thinking that they'll think that, and then think a step further and say, they'll expect this, what can I do, right? And that's a creative thing that we're even seeing with him, where how many Rakans just turn on R, flash in your face to get the charm off, then W for the knock-up from there instead of W to close the distance.
Well, I mentioned it before, with that Rift Herald, is 2 plates apiece there, to the tune of 320 gold for each side. Liquid, though, up about 1,000 gold with this early game advantage they've accrued. And don't forget, both the Infernal and the Cloud Drake they've picked up as well. We have the Hex Core now completed, though, for Bang. So going to meet that Stormrazor plus that Zeal and the Zerker Greaves that have now finished for DoubleLift. And it does look like with the map opening up a little more, we are going to put Jensen down to the bot side. He does have TP, so Liquid can enact a 1-3-1 if they wish.
Yeah, and the fact that they have this pushing bottom lane that is now mid, they'll be able to slowly get the turret. They can get all the Scuttle Crabs from now on and pivot, and then they'll be able to take the Drakes when they want. So putting a man advantage in mid, and also one of your primary engagers on this team in CoreJJ, you can start making plays under turrets on collapses. You can start choking them out of objectives here, and Ssumday is going to struggle to continue the split push pattern.
And I think that's the problem that 100 Thieves are now looking to run into, with Seal able to apply much more pressure to one of the side lanes. Ssumday, who wants to be isolated basically for the entire game, and if possible, never group and keep pushing down the turrets. The more people that lead mid lane, as you just saw then, the more pressure Ssumday feels under. And despite how kind of good the lane looked early, Impact actually up, 10, 15 CS, despite having that turret not being there. In fact, has some more ghouls to collect. Oh no. Absolute tragedy for them all. Impact continues to stack that health like you mentioned. Somebody's trying though. I mean, this is really the play pattern you have to enact as Yorick.
Yeah. You need the ghouls in order to push, and Sion just takes advantage of that. So it does end up, maybe it's something you don't really want to do, but you have to do it in order to fight him. And with the Trinity Force completed, and it looks like I'm unsure what he'll go for next here, because the Caulfield's Warhammer can go into a Death's Dance, and he can start getting into that area in terms of cooldown reduction and lifesteal for split pushing forever. But we'll see what he ends up doing, because that is a build that is a little bit on the greedier side early. trying to just mess with him.
Well, it does at least give them some room around the turret. Nice gravity field, though, from Bang. Groups all those minions together. Actually, no feathers, I believe, put onto the turret, so it does stay pretty healthy. Nice slow. Here's the ulti out from Impact.
Oh!
And that cage cancels everything, but Xmithie's still going to look to chase down. Ward hops.
Okay, yeah. I was like, you don't want to face check him in that bush, because if he puts down the R and then he gets an E on you, it can actually result in you going down, because Yorick does a ton of damage.
Looks like Huhi, though, did TP, thinking that maybe a fight was going to brew. Of course, you can't cancel it now, as we've seen time and time again, so despite wanting to assist, Team Liquid do get a cooldown just for a bit of extra pressure there in the top lane. Very slick W, though, from Ssumday to stop the Sion. We've seen the interaction with the likes of Trundle Pillar. Ssumday showing that off here with Yorick as well. And again, 100 Thieves. They have a kind of a clear point of the map to play to, but they may need one extra plan as Team Liquid continue to have a pretty firm hold. Xmithie back in top again. TL going to also TP in as the ghouls leap in onto Impact. Anda, they're going to cut him off at the pass though, and now the fight is very divided. Anda with an ulti hits Xmithie, but again, Jensen going to dive in. Perfect execution popped, and Ssumday down, executed by Jensen's Akali.
Okay, they're gone. Oh my god. They're relentless. And on the top side of the map, Ssumday, he's split pushing. They aren't getting too much on the opposite side here. Huhi's going to have to try to pressure this turret down as soon as possible. But there's the TP coming out of Impact, who made a play on the top side to counter, and now he's on the bottom side to make sure this doesn't go any further. So that's just a clear win for Team Liquid.
The old switcheroo. As CoreJJ back down to the bot side, looking to clear out the vision. There is a Cloud Drake back up for the taking. Jensen also trying to finish off another turret. Team Liquid looking to take the advantage in structures here, as Jensen will do substantial damage with his Gunblade. 100 Thieves, though, are looking to start this objective with Jensen stranded in the top lane.
And that's likely going to go over unless Xmithie works some magic here.
He's going to try. The blast cone's there. Doesn't have vision, though, with that control ward in the pit. Going to pop the Q in. Can't grab it. Huhi also doing a nice job running Interceptor.
Oh. If the rest of the team collapses here, they might be able to get Xmithie before he can get away.
Kind of a 2v3 situation. Impact going to get tagged. Pops the ulti. Does get away. Xmithie, though, forced to flash out of there. Does not have the kick, so couldn't use it defensively, but do get out to the safety of the turret.
But they're losing turrets on top side to Jensen, and mid lane, DoubleLift and CoreJJ were pressuring on top of that. So they get to have full control of this top side jungle with the Baron live. So they got to pressure these turrets down, and that's honestly another big win for Team Liquid here. Even though the Cloud Drake goes over to 100 Thieves, the turret in the map goes over to TL.
Yeah, actually 4 turrets to 1, so they took 3 turrets for that Cloud Drake and didn't even get much more than a flash, I think, out of Impact or Xmithie.
There's just Xmithie, and they had to trade Andus for it too. So it really went even there. The Cloud Drake going over. Well, hold on.
All right, no ulti. Surely this time we can kill him. Impact flashes under the turret. He's going to get stunned up. Xmithie here, though. There's the ult follow-up from Ando, and there's the kick. Xmithie going to turn it into the alley-oop as Impact takes one down, and now Ando going to get himself chased down, forced to Q away. Q going to miss there from Lee Sin. And Team Liquid hunting, good slow. There's the Tempest follow-up. Crippled, Q'd, and Xmithie claims the next one.
And Impact with the fancy footwork there to get himself out of the little cage that Ssumday was putting down. If you get caught in there, you're going to have to blow your flash early. You're going to have to try and hit it and waste time. But because he's able to kind of slip right out, he's able to get to the turret. He's able to get to safety, have that extra damage, and then the durability of the Sion is all she wrote.
No reason to stop either with Demolish. TL able to easily claim turret number 5. There's 100 Thieves starting to look a little desperate in some of these attempts here on the Sion, as we'll watch this one again.
Yep, because he doesn't get him in the cage, throws it down, the flash away from Impact, and then the double stun comes out from the Sejuani, but still not enough. The kick there from Xmithie, and then that was just a great handoff there. The kick into the knock-up, into the extra damage from Impact. And seriously, the turnaround here from TL, the fact that they owned the top side of the map, but Xmithie was there to counter the bottom side, means that this play just lands flat on its face, and TL have control with a 5,000 gold lead.
Again, Jensen, plenty of free room to just really do farming more than anything else. He's just been pressuring whatever side lane TL have assigned him to. DoubleLift and CoreJJ have been farming up as well. You can see those 3 bounties on Team Liquid. Plenty of gold for 100 Thieves to take off the board, but until they grab it, it's Liquid up 5.5k.
Yeah, even those bounties, it's going to take a little bit more to actually even the game up, and especially with the champions that TL has, with Jensen, Akali ramping up. He has the highest bounty on the team, and he just has 1 kill to his name. It's not off of kills, it's off of the fact that he's farming, getting turret gold in the side lane, and he's just getting more gold than Huhi at this point in the game.
And again, Bang looking to farm up, still searching for item 2 actually. Does have the boots and the hex core, but nothing else except that lost chapter and an extra book to read while he farms between the lanes. Xmithie also invading onto red buff. The TL pressure really does not let up.
Now they have everybody here.
Ulti finds one. Good knock up there from Impact. And again, CoreJJ going to dive in. Does get stunned up in the gravity well, I believe. But the cage going to try and keep him out. The knock up from Impact is nice. It's Jensen in the back. Into the backside. Jensen finds Aphromoo with the execution. And the fight still continues. Jensen stasis. He's going to be forced to flash away, but he flips to safety as Huhi will get taken down by CoreJJ and Liquid. They find 2 clean ones.
Very scattered fight, but yeah, the 2 for 0, and now TL, they're going to look towards the mid lane, get mid priority, push this out, potentially take this turret, or start looking at the Baron, but I feel like with the jungler still up, they might risk it. Yeah, they're actually going right for that turret.
It's into that pressure. DoubleLift having some fun.
I mean, DoubleLift honestly has all the right to. The 2-on-2 kill in the lane, the fact that he's been playing so well against this 2-time world champion, he's got a world champion, you know, right next to him to help him out. But the whole thing kind of started with Bang being announced for 100 Thieves and making a tweet that he was going to come for DoubleLift. DoubleLift responds with that Grim Reaper going door to door. Like, people have tried to knock him off his throne. Tons of imports have come in, like he said, but nobody's been able to succeed.
Now Ssumday forced to run. This TP is not able to be cancelled, so Impact's going to charge it up. Huhi, maybe to his death, will try and save his teammate. Kick back towards the turret. Ssumday going to get run down by Xmithie's Lee Sin. Still lives with a few slivers of health as the rest of the squad are down here to try and turn it back around. Xmithie finally tagged up by the Braum passive. Flips away to a ward. Xmithie, can he get out of here? Still running, finds the Q to the Krugs. Has to keep lugging it towards the base.
Anda has ulti, Anda has ulti.
Ulti lands, that's going to seal it. but buys a lot of time there and saves impact as Jensen busy pushing in the top lane.
Yeah, while you're chasing them down, nobody's getting farming waves at all. DoubleLift, Jensen both pick up waves during that time, and they're able to push this advantage further. Jensen, 850 gold in terms of his bounty. DoubleLift, 700 here. These guys are doing so well in terms of ramping up in this game. It's almost a 10,000 gold lead. We're at that 7,000 mark right now for TL, so it's just been getting bigger and bigger.
And still without that first Baron, Team Liquid haven't even felt a pressing need to move towards that objective and look to seal this game.
Yeah, it's kind of that situation where they catch Xmithie. You want to be like, that's really great for 100 Thieves, but they're losing the map, and it's almost like a desperation play. It's where you start making too many people have to go answer a side lane play, so the rest of the map is left abandoned. And TL just put people there and say, well, this unoccupied territory is now ours. And really, you would want to say 100 Thieves, great effort on it, but they don't get as much as they give.
And that's the problem. When you start falling behind, you have to commit more to the play to try and get ahead. As you commit more to the play and it doesn't work out, or even if it does, when TL are positioned as well as they are, it's very easy for them to make trades and continue to, you know, keep the snowball rolling. And right now, that's what happened. That's what has happened once again.
Now, sometimes the bounty system makes that untrue, where you commit a lot to a play, and then you get 850 gold for killing one person, right? Sometimes that is worth it.
Impact is not worth 850
no,
gold.
He's not.
He's just going to stone plate and run back towards his turret.
And the cage up in 2 seconds again. And because the Death Dance is now online, hold on, TP coming through for Impact. This is 5 men on there. They're going to come a little bit late.
There is a ward, so
and it's too far.
They know what's happened, but Ssumday takes the turret, is not going to TP, maybe does finally commit it, but could actually just be a straight up 50-50. Huhi, no extra smite, but Ender is now in the area. Team Liquid trying to get out of there as Xmithie got himself knocked up by the Baron. Redemption by Team Liquid, gonna reset it.
Yeah, I feel like they 100 Thieves, if they want this opportunity, they should be opportunistic here. They should try and take this right here.
They're going
over the wall.
forward. It's gonna be a 50-50 situation.
He
kicked him out of the way, but he's back in. No, Lee Sin able to claim the Baron in favor of Team Liquid. Aphro, he falls on the other side of the fight as Team Liquid look to try and get out and take as many lives as they can. Everyone's low, but no one's dying. The Maiden continuing in the bot side does take another turret, but finally Ander falls to Lee Sin as Xmithie claims another. A shutdown there on Jensen isn't bad at all. Huhi,
Bang's gotta get in.
The bounty. Impact now the last one left in the pit. He's gonna sacrifice himself. Does go down. But 100 Thieves, they went for the Baron, and Team Liquid were the ones that claim it.
Yeah, but that is something where that was so close, just back to back, getting into the pit, getting out of the pit, getting back in the pit, trying to get that smite off. That was honestly a big 50-50 coin flip that TL decided to take, because the team fight afterwards, I mean, if you don't get the Baron there, this is not a team fight that you're walking away from happy. See this one more time here, where they're pressuring them off. They go, okay, I guess it's time to reset with the redemption. And 100 Thieves go, well, time to get the Baron. Great gravity well to make people walk around. And then Xmithie goes in, kicks him out. 1,500 left on it. Inside, 814 is the last number I see on that Baron. And just the difference in levels is huge, because Xmithie is level 15 and is walking around level 12.
After that, the mayhem continues.
They finally get Jensen there, and that's a 850 gold shutdown onto Huhi. So now that Urgot will have a little bit more in the bank, but then everybody gets over the wall, except for poor Impact. He's left in there.
It's okay. He didn't have a bounty to be given away. So happy, well, not happy, but does sacrifice himself for the good of the rest of Team Liquid. And now, with a minute 45 left, Team Liquid will have Barons to try and take down these inhibitor turrets.
And you can see just the work that this Conqueror Yorick is doing in that fight. Just the ghouls, I mean, they better be doing work if they're screaming like that. They sound like they're doing work.
Maiden was also in there, I think damaging Baron at one point. So a valiant effort for 100 Thieves to try and maybe get the game back towards equal territory, but instead it's Team Liquid with looking to make another big Baron power play. This is a team that often ends their game within the Baron, or if not, shortly after the first. They have not needed very many second Barons to finish off their games, it feels like.
But this was actually, I would say, kind of good for the side of 100 Thieves, because the gold lead hasn't really ballooned at all since that play. It's still around that 7,000 gold area. They got the shutdown onto Jensen, and it was onto somebody who could at least make use of that gold. You might want it on Bang instead of Huhi, but it's probably the second best person on this team, maybe third best behind the Yorick. So it's not going over support or jungle or anything like that. And I feel like getting these waves with the Viktor and just not having any of these inner turrets go down is pretty much all you could ask for, because there's 35 seconds left on that Baron power play. That thing is only looking like 750 gold.
Yeah, felt like the team fight went for almost a minute after the Baron got killed, so Liquid really haven't had that much time.
Yeah, and remember, Baron power plays, that plus gold actually takes into account the gold you get from killing Baron. So killing that Baron has not actually yielded the same result as if you just killed it and nothing else has happened in the game. So 100 Thieves actually got a little bit back off that Baron, unless something goes down here.
Kind of trying for one last push here to look to break something. The center is low. Xmithie, though, is going to get ulted and have to run away. Maiden popped there by Ssumday. Try and force Jensen off these turrets. Baron is now going to drop off, so Team Liquid, losing that extra siege power, may not get an inhibitor turret despite having the Baron. Looks like 100 Thieves for now have defended successfully.
For 100 Thieves, it hasn't been a complete collapse like we've seen in some of their games, but look at that, the rotation demand.
Impact real big though. Again, a good recombo. Knocks up 2 after the charm. Aphromoo tagged low, but not dead just yet. It's a redemption.
Impact.
He's going to look to reset it all. Impact put into the grinder. And there's Huhi. Grabs the kill. There's a second kill of Ssumday, able to grab the shutdown onto CoreJJ. And now Jensen forced to flip away. Burns both ultis just to get out of there safely, but DoubleLift with no ult and no flash is going to get chased down.
Yeah, but DoubleLift actually gets a flash out there at the last second to make sure that they don't get hit by those feathers on the return. And that's a one team fight there for 100 Thieves. They prevent the siege. They end up getting some kills for themselves. And CoreJJ, he went for another snap engage. Bang, finally flashes it and doesn't get hit by the charm, doesn't get hit by the knockup, and is able to turn that fight.
Well, blue buff steal also thwarted by Anda, so Team Liquid do not get the inhibitor turret they were looking for as 100 Thieves find this exchange.
Yep, right there. You saw Bang flash away to the left, make sure that he doesn't get hit at all, and then Impact too far forward, and then he just finished off there by Huhi, who doesn't flash forward, it seems, with the execution going on the Sion. He doesn't extend where the fear is or change the direction of which way people would run. And then right here, oh! Yeah, that's a double root, almost a triple root there onto Ssumday, so good heads-up play there from Ssumday. I gotta say, when you play against the Xayah, in the laning phase, sometimes you forget about the feathers and lose track of them. But if you're somebody who wasn't laning against her all game, you haven't warmed up. So being able to do that on the fly from Ssumday and not have to kind of see it once or twice in the game is a good sign that he's on point right now in terms of how alert he is to the surroundings.
Again, despite the objective instructions not going the way TL maybe have wanted, they did get another Drake. Xmithie actually finished off the Ocean that you see there on the end of Liquid's line of objectives. That will mean Elder Drake spawning up next, so Team Liquid have yet another objective to play for.
I mean, Baron's in 15 seconds, so...
Maybe a bit more important.
Yeah, the Baron, you know, it got changed so it spawns more frequently, right? A lower spawn timer. So as soon as it's down, you get a few minutes to kind of get yourself back together, get control of the map again, and it puts pressure on the losing team to get control of the map quickly and not just freeze and stall the game out.
As you mentioned, though, a lot of the bleeding has been stemmed by 100 Thieves. This Impact gets the way pushing in towards the turret. Ssumday, though, there to meet it. TPs are up for everyone, including Bang on the 100 Thieves side, so don't expect a particularly easy go at Baron here for either team.
So be about control, getting everything you can. And Xmithie, level 17. Anda running around level 14, just hit 15 here. Remember, that smite difference was because of the levels last time, so... yeah, it comes down to that again. It is a smaller gap this time.
No cage connection there by Xmithie, who's just harassing Ssumday in their red side jungle. 100 Thieves, though, are getting the lane pushed back. They want to make sure they can get onto Baron. Impact going to get launched on by Anda, but now he's going to get knocked up after the feathers. Eat him, DoubleLift cleanses off the ulti from Sejuani, and now Xmithie looking for the flank, kicks Bang into the wall. There's the combo follow-up by CoreJJ as Bang is going to get awfully low in this exchange. Here's Jensen, though, going to move his way over, almost gets the kill as Jensen is forced to flash to try and take it down, and the rest of TL still up and ready to fight. The stopwatch there from Ssumday will buy time, but Xayah grabs the shutdown and TL charge towards the base.
And the most beautiful part of that fight was the setup for it. Taunting that they're going to go to Baron, saying, hey, we're going to get this objective again. They come around both sides, and the flank to catch Bang off guard from CoreJJ, the creative plays that DoubleLift was talking about, might have just won them the game.
Still, death time is pretty high. They're going to dive in and look to finish the game right now. And a low slayed by Jensen. As Impact again tanking everything. Braum also falls as DoubleLift slays his former teammate. And now just the structures to take care of Huhi again, getting harassed. Jensen diving back and forth. Team Liquid opening it all up. That will be a kill. They're going to dive in for it. There's the 8th for Team Liquid as the boys in blue are back in business. They'll stay undefeated here in the LCS.
And you can see DoubleLift absolutely elated that he and CoreJJ are able to take it to Bang and say, no, you think you're the better player. You look at the stats after the game. Over 100 CS advantage for DoubleLift. Scoreline of 4-0-7. And you look over at Bangs, and he's 1-3-4. There's a clear winner in that bottom lane right from the get-go from the 2v2.
And Liquid just continuing their run of quiet dominance, I'll call it. Again, a lot of their play kind of look back going, okay, I have a CS lead here, pushing their lanes here, you know, junglers covering things, getting objectives, getting those drakes, and then all of a sudden, the game just breaks wide open. In that one, it was kind of a very chaotic 50-50 around the Baron that brought the game to a lead for Team Liquid. 100 Thieves tried to stall as best they could, but it really felt like they just could not find weaknesses in Team Liquid. And for any team playing up against Liquid, that has to be a terrifying thought.
Yeah, because Liquid, they don't show a lot of weakness because they don't go for many plays that they don't think will work out for them. They're very confident, they commit to it, and it ends up being very quick, like you said, to end the game once they get those advantages.
Well, it looked good, but it is time to hand it off to Ovali for an interview with the reigning bot lane king.
Thanks, Pastry. DoubleLift, you defended your title of the AD Carry King of NA against Bang. I mean, you and Team Liquid made it look so easy. Were you expecting more from Bang and 100 Thieves?
Yeah, I didn't expect him to walk in my feathers. That was a pretty sneaky move, so it was pretty over after he died one time, but then our team was like also playing really well together, so we dove their bot lane, made them lose towers, so then it was just like game over right there.
What was your reaction to his Viktor pick and the rest of the draft from 100 Thieves?
I was really expecting him to play Ezreal because it's like really meta, it was open. I guess I'm gonna have to save my special pick for another day, but we were basically waiting for them to pick Ez and they didn't do it, so that was really surprising. I don't know why he went for Viktor. Maybe like in game it was really annoying because they could turtle the game out forever with the wave clear. But yeah, he didn't seem very good at it, so maybe next time he'll play Ez.
All right, well, congratulations again on the win, and can't wait to see that special pick in the future. That's it for us here. Back to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Ovali. DoubleLift and the rest of Team Liquid still looking solid here with another victory over 100 Thieves, winless in their spring split here in 2019. We just talked or heard him talking about that bot lane matchup, expecting the Ezreal, instead getting a Viktor on the other side. What do you guys feel about this draft that came together from Prawley?
I mean, in terms of pick order, it was the same thing I was talking about in the first game of the day, where the red side team shows both their soul laners, and then you kind of take the Viktor, which you flex to bot lane, but like you already kind of saw what was coming. I mean, they did end up taking the Xayah last, so at that point they already knew that it was the Viktor going in the bot lane. They were saving a counter pick for DoubleLift, so that flex didn't quite work out. At the end of the day, it's a really weird draft. I don't have any particular thoughts on it other than like I need to see what happens. I think Prawley himself tweeted like we're either gonna look like geniuses or morons.
Right.
And, yeah.
I feel like when you look at a comp, you have to look at it and be like, all right, this is what this team does. I look at 100 Thieves comp, I'm just thinking, what do they do? I guess they have Yorick to try and split push 1v9, but they realize this is LCS, right? One, Yorick is hard to push advantages in the beginning anyway, and then two, what does the rest of their team do during that, right? So it's just like, I should be able to look at a team comp and know how they win the game. And I look at 100 Thieves, I can't tell that. I look at Team Liquid, I'm like, oh, they team fight with Xayah or Akali. Simple.
This is the most quintessential Team Liquid comp as well, even from last year, adding the two new players, and it's still, I mean, front-to-back team fighters, plenty of engage, plenty of damage in the late game, still some early game playmaking. Like, they seem to have all their bases covered.
And even how they play the game out, it's the same thing. Sion, island top lane for impact, go absorb all that Yorick pressure, we don't care. Xmithie, set up a tent in the bot lane. You know, like, it's the same game plan, and they still are executing on it very well.
Well, top of the day, we teased this matchup between Bang and DoubleLift, so let's dive straight into it and take a look at how that bot lane played out. There's that play that DoubleLift was talking about. The sneaky move, walking straight into the feathers.
Yeah, and it was still very close. That right there is the difference in Combat Summoner.
Yep.
They have a heal, they can potentially win that fight, but they weren't able to. And even though this dive isn't super clean, like at this point, there's the tent in the bot lane we're talking about as Onda's up in the top side.
Small advantage turns into a big one for Team Liquid. And from there, it was just kind of paint by numbers, right? They found their way to a risky Baron at that. So there are still some things we could point at for Team Liquid that we would look for them to clean up. But overall, fairly solid, easy win for them.
Honestly, it's pretty disappointing, right? We hyped up the matchup of Bang into DoubleLift. He walks into some feathers, gets beat up. They don't have heal, so they don't really want to take a 2v2. And then on top of that, you're playing a Viktor, which is like a cool champion, but that's not what I was looking forward to, right?
Right.
I wanted like an AD carry into AD carry thing, and then there's just like one death, and then they just camp bot, and the game is just over from them.
Yeah, very much so. So really what I want to do now, because there's not a whole lot to dive into from literally that game state to the Nexus explosion, is the fact that we have a 3-0 team in Team Liquid and an 0-3 team in 100 Thieves. And let's remember that a majority of experts had 100 Thieves power ranked somewhere around 4th or higher at the end of the split, granted, so they still have time to grow into that. But here they are at 0-3.
Right, and like any team that starts 0-3, I'd be curious to see how they go from that, but there's not very many teams that can claw their way out of a hole. And what I'm looking at for 100 Thieves is like, what is your identity as a team? So far, they've been playing towards top side, towards Ssumday, but that's clearly not working out for them. They brought in a world-class champion bot laner. Why don't you try playing towards your world-class bot laner and your shot caller on top of that, right? You're leaving them on an island, and it's just like, why do that?
That's the scary part for me, is there's like no ray of hope to latch onto, whereas like, you know, they like don't make anything happen in the early game. They don't generate substantial leads, and they slowly bleed out over time. And so to Highest point, you need to like flip your style in the middle of the season and hope to find something that works.
I think your ray of hope is that graphic that you saw there just a moment ago. The 3 opponents that they've lost to so far. It is Team Liquid, TSM, and Cloud9, right? So 3 of the best
Arguably
performing teams so far in the spring split. And by virtue of that, if you go, okay, well, now I can palate or stomach those losses a bit more. Again, if they're going to be top 4, basically the rest of their games in the first round robin, you'd expect them to win. And I'm not sure I expect them to win those
top 4
anymore.
teams should be close in those games.
Yeah, they should be close, and they haven't looked close.
They haven't looked close at all. That's what I'm saying. Like, the ray of hope is not you're winning. It's that, like, in the loss, you look okay.
All right, so let me ask you guys this question. You now co-coaches or something, or maybe you both answer this individually. But you're coaches of 100 Thieves. With this roster, what would you make the identity? What would you propose the identity of this team should be and how they should play?
I would like to play towards bot. I mean, we literally brought in one of the best AD carries in the world. In every single game, we haven't given him the opportunity to shine. Why don't we put some resources into him, see how that goes, and give our shot caller opportunity and time to actually make these calls and plays before the game is over from the top side of the map, and just pick some standard champions top, some standard champions mid, and let's pick a normal team comp, see how that goes for us, rather than trying these cool, unorthodox picks that, you know, will make you look smart if it works out, but if it doesn't, then it's just like, what are you doing? You don't have that many games in a season to try things out. So try out standard. If it works out and you have a good win record, then you can try some cool stuff like Vladimir on DoubleLift, for
It's
example.
kind of reopening old wounds, I think, for some 100 Thieves people. And I know there are problems behind the scene, but 100 Thieves was at their best when they had Meteos, and him and Aphromoo would combo together to get Cody Sunfed, and then they would play a pretty standard game or a 1-3-1.
Right.
That's kind of what Highest
Actually leave Ssumday on the island, kind of like TL does with Impact.
Right, that's when they were at their best that we've seen in this entire organization. So like if Onda and Meteos can get bang some kills early game, and he's on a Xayah, on an Ezreal, or on a Lucian even, like you can start playing through him.
So part of that means that Onda just needs the time to kind of grow and mature as a player, right? We did talk about the fact that he had a pretty fantastic rookie season, and even into Worlds was one of the better performing members for 100 Thieves, but it is kind of clear here in the early game that the team's waffling around how to get any kind of advantages. All in all, 0-3 start for 100 Thieves is going to be disappointing for TL. This is exactly what most people expected, dominance across the board in all of their wins so far. After the break, we're rolling into Game 4 with FlyQuest versus Counterlogic Gaming.